Oh, my fearing whiskies! I'm late, I'm late, I'm late!
And so, we're back!
Thomas's Steam Team Rescue was the third half-hour special for Season 23, and holy heck does it end off this season on a high note! At least for me and some fans. I thought it was a fun special. Digs and Discoveries, while not really bad, was relatively disappointing and negative to the fanbase, mainly due to it being a by-the-numbers package special stretched out into 2 standalones. Steam Team to the Rescue, on the other hand, had a more divisive reaction from the fanbase. It was sort of like a middle ground piece of the media, with a lot of people really liking it, while others didn't really like it. For me personally, I'm in that club of really liking it. This was exactly what I hoped these specials were gonna be like. It's like Digs was a project your teacher had you follow specific guidelines for, while Steam Team was just them going,
Now you wanna get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Other than making it about the new Steam Team, it feels like a mostly hands-off experience for the crew. No blatant attempts at selling new playsets, no forcing in elements from past specials to make it sellable. Just one big crazy half-hour special where they got to do whatever they wanted to. The special, this time around centered back on Sodor, starts off by already taking old ideas and cleverly repurposing them. Instead of the usual Sodor is a place where trains work spiel that these specials usually start off with, we start off with Harold going over the island and various locations and characters that come to play later into the story. But over at the docks, at the 2-minute mark of the special, we get Salty being punted off the tracks and sent plunging right into the ocean, and with no conveniently added jetty this time around, by the way. Like, Salty actually drowns. We open up with a train drowning in a Thomas the Tank Engine special.
Jesus Christ!
The story from here on in ends up being a domino effect as things wind up causing more problems along the railway. Porter, Salty's co-worker at the docks, gets blocked up with flour. Seaweed dragged by Salty causes an accident at the diesel works which traps all the other marketable diesels, leaving Sir Topham Hatt to rearrange work now not for just the docks but also the other diesels being put out of action. Percy ends up being sent there but can't cope with the overload. Thomas tries to go and help him but gets stuck in the backlog by Sir Topham Hatt, and the overcrowding at the docks results in a dockside disaster with Percy getting trapped, Carly nearly ready to go cranky bugs into the water, and a fire about to break out. Will our marketable Steam Team save the day? And is it awkward that only after a fleeting mention in one prior season and 15 seasons after coining it, do they now get revered as such?
Too much talking.
We'll see when it's available legally and find out, my dude. Gotta make sure the show actually continues, you know? Obviously, like any piece of media, Steam Team to the Rescue is not perfect. There are some flaws that I am willing to discuss a little bit. Like the Steam Team aspect being the main marketing mandate kind of hurts it a little bit because it's like, oh, these specific engines have to take care of the problem, I guess. Like, I'm glad they didn't overpush this considering this was the main marketing campaign this year beyond Digs, but it still feels kind of weird. A season full of fun, crazy character combos, some of which do appear in the special, and you just settle on these guys. Okay, alright, we're going back to those days again. For like a special, at least not for the whole show. And of course there's a lot of easy bait for fans to be like, no, that's not realistic. Doesn't make sense. This does not apply to logic. Now, excuse me, I must return to the classic episodes of my talking steam locomotive show set on a fictional island in Britain. Those were the days. Like, I know realism was a major factor in selling the original books and series, but like, you also gotta calm down a little bit, maybe ease up. It's a kid's show. Kids mostly watch the show right now. But this is one of those times where I can excuse the flaws. It's so fun and so chaotic and so enjoyable that it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit back, relax, and just enjoy the chaos. Not to mention, it's a much better written story overall. Digs and Discoveries felt empty in terms of its stakes because you weren't given enough reason to care about what was going on. Like beyond that mind collapsing, what's at stake for Thomas in the Minds of Mystery episode? His dignity's not been wrecked or anything, nor is he really having a falling out. He's just jealous of his friends showing up and being cool, and he's like, I can do cool things too. Check this out, I can do that cool thing, I guess. The specials may be fun, but you don't feel any risks or consequences from a lot of things. It's just kind of like, that happens, and there it is. But Steam Team ups the previous specials by having the situation and problems the characters encounter get worse and worse as they struggle to control the chaos surrounding them. Little details end up popping up and affecting the plotline, which keeps the story flowing more naturally, rather than feeling like a step-by-step special with things you've seen before. I dare even to be that person to say that Steam Team to the Rescue was actually kind of relatable in terms of its conflict. How many of you have had a day or a class or a project that started off really good but just got worse and worse and more stressful for you as you went along? Steam Team has more weight to everything and just makes the ending all the more awesome, and also helps support more of a theme than Digs could whip up. No matter how terrible or stressful things may get for you, you'll always be able to find a way through it or always get help from your friends during a stressful situation. Couple it with an incredibly catchy musical number, and probably some of the funniest gags the show's done in a while, and you have a pretty fun, chaotic special overall. That all said though, there were 3 things I saw the special being compared to in the months leading up to it, even before it came out with only a description and a title, those being the Chuggington special, The Big Freeze, specifically its first part Chug Patrol Chief, the season 21 episode also titled The Big Freeze, and the season 8 episode Thomas to the Rescue. Comparisons towards them seems to be the following. One specific type of engine, usually diesel, being put out of action, urgent cargo needing to be delivered or sorted, and 2 of these being dock specials. I find that Chuggington one a little unfair to compare it to because Thomas could actually afford doing a half-hour special. Once more stuff from season 6 hits, I'm planning to do a whole video about the Chuggington specials, or the show itself. I'm still kind of figuring it out. While the middle one does provide sort of a funny argument against this special, an island that's about 80% steam runs out of fuel and 9 diesels can handle their workload for the rest of a day. Those same diesels either break down or get trapped, and the entire work schedule goes into chaos. Well, in all fairness, at least the stress of the whole situation is handled more realistically here. 10 engines being put out of work is still a decent chunk to lose on a railway's workday. By the way, you wanna know how really dated this video was? I had a whole section right here in this very spot where it was like, oh, it stinks this didn't get any advertising, but lo and behold, it got more advertising than that one TV commercial in the UK. It's still not very much compared to the previous specials, but I was surprised there was actually a toy tie-in and some website promotion. Like, hey, even my Canadian brethren at Treehouse TV put it on the front page of the website. By the way, sorry we leaked Digs and Discoveries. I guess it was our turn to be the country that leaked everything kind of too early this year.
Blame Canada, because when Canada is gone, there'll be no more Celine Dion. Blame Canada. They're not even a real country anyway.
Also, Rip Thomas on US TV. But hey, the show's on Netflix, so it's all good. But again, I'm glad this was a big fun special that didn't feel pressured or needing to sell a new playset. I'd much rather weird experiments like Steam Team to the Rescue over the bland sterility of Digs and Discoveries, or the entirety of the CG era and their soulless repetitiveness. I've seen people say this is just as bad, but no. No, this stuff actually has a soul and isn't just, hey, our company's kinda dying, just repeat the same thing over and over and sell some more toys. Mattel at least knows story and character are key, which is 2 things this era very much forgot. Which reminds me, there's one last little thing I gotta discuss with this special before the usual wrap-up stuff. Steam Team ended up marking the debut of a new head writer for the series, David Stoughton, who previously directed the Thomas specials and movies from Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure all the way up to Big World Big Adventures. Keep in mind though, he did not write or direct the special, as those were respectively handled by Davey Moore, who has produced several episodes for the series since season 17, the first season from the previous head writer Andrew Brenner, and Joey So, who made his debut directing the Digs and Discovery specials. While it's still a little bit early to tell, I mean this is only one special, it's still pretty interesting seeing how radically different the energy is for both these specials in style. Digs was written by writer Becky Overton, who worked on several episodes beforehand as well, with Brenner head writing for this final season of his. His duties as head writer usually being going over scripts and editing them. And no, he did not leave because of the changes to the show, he just had other projects he was committed to and ultimately wanted to move on to them. Brenner deserves a lot of credit for bringing the series back up to quality, and both of them have turned out really good episodes and specials, but overall I don't think they were the best fit for Digs. Becky takes a more simplistic and laid-back approach to her writing, which I feel works well with episodes and a Christmas Carol retelling special, but not so much for 2 specials intended to be the big event for the year. With Brenner being busy on other projects, hence why he's been less and less involved with the series since the reboot began planning, I'm guessing he likely didn't change much from the original script. Meanwhile, this special mixes in Stoughton's previous experience with the high-energy specials, Moore's knack for comedy and good female representation, and Joey So's already promising action direction. The 3 overall make a pretty good team, and in all honesty make for what I think Mattel wanted the series to be like a lot better than the previous 2 seasons. There's still been a lot of great episodes and writers through these, but I feel like this is the point where they finally got a concrete understanding of what to do with the series going forward. I'm genuinely excited to see what Stoughton has to offer, considering this fits in the fast-paced tone much better than the previous seasons, where they had to still adjust to everything, and some did a good job, but then others were like, oh, That's the end of the episode, I guess. One other thing my friends wanted to mention is someone on SIF called The Colonel theorized that this might have been a spec script by Davey Moore, but I'll link it down below. It explains one or two things, but personally I'm not too big on it. I think this was long after Moore joined the team. He probably just got the call for a Steam Team special to whip up for the season, and also this video is running way longer than I usually do for rambling, so I better wrap this up. In conclusion, Steam Team to the Rescue ain't gonna appeal to every fan, but my lord did I love this special. Like, I'm gonna get lynched for this, but it's genuinely sort of becoming one of my personal favorite new specials. It's not perfect by any means, no, there's still a lot of flaws, but the chaotic tone, catchy music, comedy, and action are just overall a joy to go through. It is a very fun way to end a very oddball and transitional season for the series, as it adjusted new staff and writers.
Ranger on the Rails came out after this. Ah, crap.
Honestly, after doing these videos, maybe I will cover the 2 specials coming for the 75th anniversary next year. But for now, these took a little bit of time to get through, and everything's been kind of busy, so it's time for me to head back to work on my other stuff. Bleh. Boy, I can't believe it's over. It's a whole 2-part review and it's done, so I'll see y'all next time. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's how it goes, right? Also, why is Big Mickey a thing? He didn't do a lot in this special, and also Cranky actually bothered to go help one of his brethren when she was about to go overboard, and he just sat there. What's your damage, Big Mickey?
You're really choked up about this, aren't you?